It's out the motherfucking pack.
Right out the
But
pack.
niggas don't know how to act.
Hello. Welcome back to the final mock draft, man. It's draft day. I can't believe it. It's kind of surreal. I know it hasn't even hit me yet. Been doing these mock drafts for months, talking about the prospects in these mock drafts for even longer than that. So, man, be prepared for who knows how many videos in the next couple days, man. Man, I might do like 20 videos the next 2 weeks. So I'm gonna put this old fucking computer to the test. So let's get right into it, man. Y'all know the drill. No holdups today. And yeah, let's just hop right into it. It's 2 rounds today, so I don't want it to be an hour long video because I'm recording this shit this morning, Thursday morning. So, all right, Chicago Bears, we know they're drafting Caleb. Um, they traded Justin Fields just so they could clear up space. It was a horrible trade, by the way, to get a 6th round pick back for a good quarterback, is insane. But they know what they want. We know what they want. That's that. Commanders. Is it Drake May? Is it Jaden Daniels? Look, I simply think Drake May is the better prospect. I think he does more things than Jaden Daniels, and I think he does the things Jaden Daniels can do. I think Drake May is extremely mobile. I think we'll see how good he is at using his legs at the next level. But obviously, Jaden Daniels is different. He is a lit, I don't generational. We'll just use that word 24/7 now. But his talent with his legs and when he gets on the move is something special. So I think the Commanders are going to value that more. And I do think maybe for the first time, I don't know, I'm gonna have him drafting Jaden Daniels at number 2, which means Drake May falls to the Patriots. No way the Patriots trade this pick in the scenario. There is no quarterback you can get in this class that is close to Drake May. Drake May is capable, definitely, of being a number 1 overall pick in most draft classes. So you have that chance to draft that guy at number 3, you do it. Cardinals here at number 4. I have heard a lot of talk about Malik Nabers now being considered the best wide receiver. Honestly, I think that's just people overthinking it. I really don't think Malik Nabers is a different caliber of athlete, compared to Marv. Marv is just great at everything. It's just honestly, I can't find a flaw in Marvin Harrison Jr.'s game. That's why I call him the best wide receiver prospect I've ever seen. When your father's a Hall of Fame wide receiver, you've been drilled on these things longer than anybody else has. So don't overthink this. Marv is still my number 1 player in the entire draft, so I'm going to have him go all the way up here at number 4 to the Cardinals. Chargers at 5. I just don't think they trade this pick because I don't think you can trade this pick and still get the caliber of players you see right here on the screen. Like if you trade down with the Vikings, which I don't think are going to trade up anyway, we're going to get to that. If you trade down, I simply don't believe. I don't think I've had the Chargers trading with the Vikings and the Vikings. Like I don't think I've even had that scenario happening once in my mock drafts. If it happens, I will be shocked because it will be a horrible move for the Vikings. But I'm gonna have the Chargers taking and picking, not Malik Nabers, not Rome Odunze, but Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers alongside Quentin Johnston. I don't even know what the guys they have left. Is it Josh Palmer and Darius Davis? They need to draft a receiver in the 2nd or 3rd round, definitely. But Brock Bowers should help Justin Herbert massively. They're going to be more of a run team anyways now with Jim Harbaugh. So you really won't need that many receivers like they are accustomed to having. So I think Brock Bowers, Quentin Johnston, pick up a guy in the 3rd or 4th round. I think he'll be solid, honestly. It might not be a very good team right away, but with Justin Herbert, Brock Bowers might be his new favorite target, and that's what you're looking to get here. Next up, we got the Giants at number 6. For the longest time, I thought it was tackle. Now I guess it should be one of these 2 amazing receivers, even though I think Joe Alt still would be the best pick. But I think Malik Nabers, I think he's more versatile at the NFL level. Rome Odunze, I think, can do a lot of things, and I do think that's why he's such an amazing prospect. But Malik Nabers, I do agree. I don't know. It just depends really what you want. And I think from the talk I've heard, the Giants are leaning more in Malik Nabers' direction with his amazing speed and the things he can do when you get the ball in his hands. I'll say this. I feel like you can get the ball in Malik Neighbors' hands more easily than Odunze. Odunze creates situations that Malik Neighbors simply can't create due to his size and everything. But I think Malik Neighbors, for a bad team like the Giants, is more valuable because it's easier to get the ball in his hands and let him make plays compared to Rome Odunze. The Titans at 7. It's Joe Alt. It's been Joe Alt the entire time. Uh, yeah, they're simple. They've went out, they've addressed a lot this offseason. They've really improved that offense. They got Cushenberry from the Broncos, Tony Pollard to replace Derrick Henry, got Calvin Ridley from the Jaguars to actually create a somewhat decent receiving core. All you got to do left is improve that god awful offensive line. And they already did that once this offseason. Joe Alt at the tackle, and you're looking pretty good, honestly. You're setting Will Levis up for success, which I like. Falcons at 8. Yeah, it's continue. It's going to be Dallas Turner. It's going to keep being Dallas Turner over and over. Like I said before, I do think guys like Liatu Latu are better than Dallas Turner. However, Dallas Turner, I think simply due to his age, right, and his athletic traits. I think Trayvon Walker, he might not. I really doubt he's going to be as good as like Liatu Latu or even Jared Verse year one. But down the line, when we're looking at a guy 7, maybe 8 years from now, I think Dallas Turner does have the highest potential out of any defensive player in this draft. So that's why I have him going to the Falcons at number 8. I don't think any of these teams are going to trade down, by the way. I think they're all kind of set on the prospects they can have. The Falcons, honestly, I could see the Falcons trading down, but who would trade up, right? Unless your team wanted Rome or if Brock Bowers somehow fell. I don't think the Falcons are going to trade down. Bears with this pick, right? It's two options because your number one priority, right? Your number one priority if you're the Bears is setting Caleb Williams up for the as successful a season as possible, right? And the two ways you can do that are by drafting a tackle or by drafting a wide receiver. The tackles at this spot are good, but I think it'd be a slight reach when you got Rome Odunze sitting right there. Honestly, I just don't think you can pass up on that. So I'm not going to pass up on that. Why not just give Caleb Williams as many weapons as possible and see what happens? Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift, Roshan Johnson, like all these guys. Why would you not just set Caleb Williams up and try and make the transition to the NFL as easy as possible? Jets is going to continue being tackle. I could see wide receiver if Odunze fell. That's not happening. I could see tight end if Brock Bowers fell. That's not happened here. So we're going to go tackle because even though they signed guys like Tyron Smith, even though they traded for Morgan Moses, you still need a young option, right? Moving those guys are stopgaps, right? They're good stopgaps, very good stopgaps. I gave the Jets an A in their free agency grades, but as a whole, I still need to see more from the Jets in terms of tackle. So who's the options here? Fuaga, Fashanu, J.C. Latham, in my opinion. I think Fashanu simply, I've had him as the highest the whole time. I'm still going to keep him in that way. I've had him to the Jets damn near every mock draft. Vikings at 11. Let me in my last video I talked about this. Let me give you all my theory of what happened when they made that move for the extra first round pick. I do not think the Vikings were planning on losing Kirk Cousins. I think that came as a surprise and a shock to them, which is why I think they made that emergency move to get the Texans first round pick almost immediately after. I do not think at any point the Vikings thought to themselves that they're going to move both of those picks and trade up in the draft, unless to get Jaden Daniels. And that's a different story. But they're definitely not going to package both of these picks to move up and get JJ McCarthy, who probably won't even win the starting job year one. That's a horrible decision. I think they made that move to get the extra pick so they could use one of their first round picks on a quarterback and keep the other first round pick to bring in a positional player. Who is that positional player? Well, you lost Daniil Hunter to free agency. You lost DJ Wonnum to free agency. You brought in Jonathan Grenard, which I like, but you still could use some more help on that defensive line now. I think Liatu Latu has potential to be an all-pro as a rookie. I think he's just that good. I think he will certainly be the best rookie defensive player in this entire class. I think he's ready. He's polished. Has the most versatile bag of tricks, if you will, in terms of pass rush moves. And I just think he's that good. I think the Vikings have had their eyes set on a guy at number 11 this entire time, and I don't think they plan on taking a quarterback here or moving up and giving up their second first round pick. So I think it's going to be a guy like Liatu Latu to the Vikings at 11. Broncos at 12. Honestly, This is going to be the mock draft where I have JJ McCarthy just falling. I just can't see him going in the top 20. Honestly, I just can't see it. So if that's the case, what would the Broncos do instead? Well, you think about the guys they've lost, right? I don't know if receiver makes that much sense here. Brian Thomas, I could definitely see it. But that defense has taken such a hit, right? Especially with Justin Simmons. Man, what do you do here for the Broncos? It's right now, in my mind, it's between Brian Thomas and Cooper DeJean. I'm gonna go with Brian Thomas, man. I'm gonna go with Brian Thomas because whoever you draft at quarterback, if you do make a move for a guy, you're going to just need for him to have some sort of weaponry, right? So we're probably gonna have the Broncos moving back into maybe the second round to get a guy, but at this point, I just got them taking best player available, and that might be Brian Thomas. Raiders at 13, you know, this is where I'm gonna have Michael Penix going. When I think of Michael Penix and Bo Nix, right, I'm thinking of guys that are going to be able to step in right away, pick up an NFL offense, and have no trouble with it. And for the Raiders, you think of the guys they got: Devontae Adams, Michael Mayer, Jacoby Myers. That offense is fine. The weapons on it are good. Give give those to a guy like Michael Penix. I think he can step in right away, probably compete with Gardner Minshew. Maybe not start week 1 or 2, but eventually take that job over, and now you have a franchise quarterback. Just like that, the entire prospect of the Raiders franchise changes, right? So I think that is the move for the Raiders that could potentially make the most difference out of any guy available. Saints at 14, I think they're happy with quarterback. It has to be tackle for me. What's his name? Ryan Ramczyk has like a career-threatening injury. You need a guy to protect Derek Carr and improve that run game. Taliese Fuaga does both of those things very well, in my opinion. I've had him mocked here over and over, and I'm going to continue to do that. Colts at 15, the Colts have made it a habit to draft the most athletically gifted players starting from last year. I think they're going to continue that this year. So you think about the most athletically gifted players here at the cornerback position, right? You may think it's Quinyon Mitchell. You may think it's Nate Wiggins, who ran the fastest 40. I think Cooper DeJean, this may sound crazy, is the most athletic freak, can do the most for a team. Offense, defense, special teams out of any of one of these guys. Do I know where he's going to play for sure? No. Do I know that he can play damn near anywhere? Yes. So I think the Colts are going to value that at 15. Seahawks, my Seahawks are going to trade down. There are a lot of good options, very good options, but I just don't think that we are maximizing our value. We don't have a second round pick. We need a second round pick. So we have to trade with the team, right, that has a first round pick, but can also give us one of their second round picks. The Packers are a team that have multiple second round picks that they can move. And why would they move up, right? Why would a team like the Packers trade up 9 spots? Who would they even be looking after? I think they would be looking to secure one of the big tight or the one of the big cornerbacks. Sorry, who would that be? Well, take your pick. Whoever you like as a Packers fan. Terrion Arnold, a lot, very aggressive, downhill, plays well, probably had the best season of any cornerback in the country last season. Quinyon Mitchell takes a lot of chances, makes a lot of big time plays, gets burnt from time to time. Nate Wiggins, probably the most prototypical athletic freak, uh, head down prospect you can get. You can't go wrong with any of these picks, in my opinion, even Kool-Aid. So whoever you like most, I think Terrion Arnold would match I think Terrion Arnold would match Jaire Alexander's energy a little bit better than any of those guys. And I think he'd fit in better in Green Bay. Next, we got the Jaguars. I'm going to go cornerback here, too. I really don't see any other option for the Jaguars, especially with Brian Thomas off the board, because you cut Darius Williams for no reason. He was your best cornerback last season. You need something to replace that. Give him Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo. Draft stock soared postseason, and I think he's a lock now to go in the top 20 or 22. Bengals at 18. It's going to be tackle for me. I could see, one of these defensive tackles going off the board, but if you're the Bengals, right, you let Jonah Williams walk in free agency. You brought in Trent Brown. You don't have a long-term solution at tackle right now. You need to do something to hold that down. I think J.C. Latham makes a lot of sense here. Prototypical right tackle. He's played that at Alabama for a long time, and he played well. So I think J.C. Latham's a lock for the first round, early first round. And the Bengals, player meets need in this situation. Rams at 19, I do think this is going to be a defensive tackle to replace Aaron Donald. I don't think you want to leave Kobe Turner out there all by himself. Get a guy like Jerzon Newton. I think Byron Murphy honestly is more of a project. I think Jerzon Newton is more of a finished product, more potential as a pass rush player. And I think when you pair him with a guy like Colby Young, it just creates a lot of opportunities. So Rams at 19, that's where I'm thinking right now. Steelers at 20. The fans really, really want Jackson Powers Johnson, and I have no reason to object here because that offensive line's been bad for a long time. And if you get a center, it really does change the entire offensive line in a way, right? People are in place more, protections are more secure, communications better if you get the right center in there. And with an experienced veteran quarterback in there now, Russell Wilson, you're going to want communication to be at an all-time high in Pittsburgh, especially on that offensive line. And I think Jackson Powers Johnson will help you get that done, right? Dolphins at 21. A lot of things you could do here. This is between defensive tackle and offensive tackle for me. But what do I think is more important long term? Definitely is protecting Tua, right? You lost Robert Hunt to free agency. He was a good player for you. You got to try and replace that. Troy Fatanu sitting right there, played tackle amazingly in college, but he projects more as a guard. Certainly can start as a guard for Miami day one. And then over time, if you need a right tackle, kick Troy Fatanu out there. So I think that has a pick. That has a pick for Miami, which solves a need day one, but the potential is even greater than that. Eagles at 22. It's between corner and tackle. Normally, I'd give them a tackle here. Actually, no, it's been back and forth for me. With the corners on the board, right? Bradbury and Darius Slay are not getting any younger. So take your pick between Nate Wiggins and Kool Aid. It's two amazing options to have right here. I'm going to go Nate Wiggins. Just prototypical, man. He reminds me a lot of Christian Gonzalez, a little smaller, if I'm not mistaken. But it's just that's the vibes I'm getting off Nate Wiggins. I could be completely wrong, but it's just I really like Nate Wiggins as a prospect, man. I think he's going to do very, very well, especially in Philly. This is the spot for the Vikings, man. Go ahead and take Bo Nix. Bo Nix, plug and play day one, gets the ball out quickly, is able to read a defense, uses his legs to escape when he needs to. He's just the perfect quarterback for the Vikings. We've seen with guys like Josh Dobbs and who was the other guy that was throwing for a bunch of yards there. The former Viking Nick Mullins. We've seen guys have success in the Vikings system. When you got Justin Jefferson there, it's hard not to. Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, they have it made. They just need a guy to come in, protect the football, not do anything flashy. That's what JJ McCarthy would do. If you want a guy that does what JJ McCarthy does, Bo Nix is the complete final version of that, right? Why draft JJ McCarthy? I'm sorry. I'm not high on McCarthy at all. Bo Nix is a perfect fit for the Vikings. He does everything they need him to do. And man, if the Vikings draft Bo Nix at 23, it would be an amazing pick. Next, we get the Cowboys. You lost your tackle. You got to replace that. It's Amarius Mims. Amarius Mims has potential through the wazoo, and the Cowboys, sorry, just let every player walk in free agency. They need to focus on protecting Dak long term because that offense is the only hope they have now of competing long term, and they need to do better. And Amarius Mims, hopefully, for their sake, can solve some of their problems. My Seahawks at 25 now. A lot of options, man. A lot of great options. Jared Verse at 25, such good value. Graham Barton makes a lot of sense. Byron Murphy, Kool Aid, man. There's so many options, man. Who do we take? Who do we take? When I'm looking at the guys here, defensive line should be our number one priority, right? We got some young guys. We got Uchenna Nwosu. We got Boye Mafe, Dramont Jones, not really a young guy, but Leonard Williams. Man, Jared Verse is sitting right there, man. It's too good value at 25. Jared Verse is a guy similar to Laiatu Latu, I think come in right away and play such a big role. Mike McDonald, I think, is going to prioritize that defensive line. And if Jared Verse is sitting at there, it's one of the steals of the draft, man. You can't pass up on that. Bucks at 26, look to improve that offensive line. Graham Barton, with his versatility, can play in a lot of spots. Certainly can play inside, and hopefully can help the Bucks protect Baker, give him more time, open up more run lanes, and continue to improve on what they do well, which is smothering teams with that offense. Cardinals at 27 here. This is a tough one, man. It's between Byron Murphy and Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think they'd love to have both of these guys, but I think defensive-minded head coach Jonathan Gannon, we saw what he did with the defensive tackles in Philadelphia. I think he just prioritized that more, even though they need cornerback desperately, man. That's why this pick is so tough. You look at their next pick, man, 35. Ah, man, it's such a tough situation. I think both these guys are very good players. I think Kool-Aid has the higher ceiling, but I just think maybe there's something about him where teams are just hesitant to pick him. So I think Byron Murphy, probably the guy for the Cardinals here at 27. Bills at 28 has to be receiver. AD Mitchell. AD Mitchell simply just has a different aura about him than like Troy Franklin, Xavier Worthy, Keon Coleman, all these guys. I feel like AD Mitchell has this aura about him that kind of puts him in a mini tier, kind of above these guys, below Brian Thomas. You know what I mean? Lions here, no brainer. Draft Kool-Aid. You need cornerback more than anything, and you got a potential star sitting right there. Pair him back up with Brian Branch, his former teammate, and just watch what happens, man. It's a great pick for the Lions. Ravens at 30 here. It has to be offensive line, you know. Honestly, I know they have needs. If Kool-Aid was here, I'd probably take Kool-Aid. Receiver, yeah, they got to adjust that. But man, it has to be a line. They lost their guard, their tackle, their other tackle. The Ravens just purged their offensive line for some reason. They got Andrew Voorhees and Tyler Linderbaum right now. That's the only guys I can tell you about. So you got to take an offensive lineman. Give me Jordan Morgan, man, out of Arizona. I don't know if he can start at tackle day one, but you probably need him to. You need to address some things on that offensive line if you're the Ravens, and quick too. Next up, we got the 49ers here. Do I just give him tackle? I think I should give him tackle. Cornerback is also a need, but do you go with a guy like Ennis Rakestraw? I'm not sure. What do you? The Niners have been in such like a boring position this whole time, you know. So I'm not really sure. Look at the options at cornerback: Sanders, Still, Rakestraw, Kamari Lassiter. I don't know. I just, man, I really don't see any of those guys as really first round guys, you know. Whereas I could see a guy like Tyler Guyton sneaking through. I'll give him Tyler Guyton, man. They need a long term answer at tackle, and he might be that guy for them. Chiefs receiver, no brainer. Who is it? Troy Franklin, Lad McConkey, Xavier Worthy. Those are the guys, in my opinion, that are being talked about here. You got Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown to stretch the defense, extend the defense. I think you need a guy to replace Rashee Rice. Let's be honest here, as the slot guy, interior, 10 to 15 yards, 8 to 12 yards. Lad McConkey is that guy. I could also see Xavier Worthy, but I think Lad McConkey, that's what he did at Georgia. That's what he excels at. So place plug and play with the Chiefs. McConkey would go stupid. Panthers at 33 has to be receiver. No second thoughts about this right here. Um, they got Deontay Johnson. Just give him Xavier Worthy, right? I mean, if you're talking about guys who have the highest potential, right? Xavier Worthy, I think he's in a different lane. His speed gives him something that he has that nobody else in this entire class has, right? So I think the Panthers take a shot on a guy, man. Patriots at 34 here, same situation. You need to make Drake May's life easier in this scenario. You don't really have anything at receiver, honestly. I think Xavier Legette, honestly, when I look at him and his body type, I do think he has the most potential necessarily to be a number one receiver in the NFL out of all the guys left, right? So if the Patriots take a shot on that guy, you know. Cardinals at 35, we gave them receiver, we gave them defensive line. You got to address cornerback at this spot, right? They had the worst cornerback group in the NFL probably last season. So who do you draft, man? Do you draft a guy like Mike Sanders still to start at the nickel, you know, and hope he moves back? Or do you take a shot on a guy who is probably has a better chance of being a boundary corner? It's a tough situation. I'll give him Ennis Rakestraw out of Missouri. You know, honestly, I'll be honest. Rakestraw, Lassiter, TJ Tampa. I really can't tell you that much about these guys. Maybe I should have studied them a little bit more. All I know is all those guys I think are gonna be top 50 picks, maybe, but aren't first round guys. So they all have potential, you know, certainly every guy does, but I couldn't tell you what they do well, what they excel at, stuff, you know, nothing like that. Commanders at 36 here. We gave them their quarterback. I would say address that offensive line a little bit more. I know they got Tyler Biadasz. Who else here makes sense? Nothing that I'm really seeing, to be honest, man. So what do we do then? Do we address their secondary? Tyler Nubin. You lost Kendall Fuller to the Dolphins. You lost Cam Curl to the Rams. I think Tyler Nubin makes some sense here for the Commanders. Next up, we got the Chargers. You know, it's between cornerback and linebacker here for me. They could also draft a receiver. Certainly, they could draft a receiver here. Oh man, there's some good options at receiver, man. I would really want the Chargers to just focus on that offense, to be honest with you. I'm gonna give him Troy Franklin, man. Oregon connection with Justin Herbert. Give them another option. Troy Franklin, Quentin Johnston, Brock Bowers. You got something there, right? And you're not paying them any money combined, right? For being all rookie contracts. So focus on that offense, man. Make Justin Herbert's life easier. That should be their number one priority in LA. Titans at 38. I'm gonna give him an edge rusher to replace what you lost necessarily with Danico Autry's departure. I'm gonna give him Chop Robinson. A lot of potential there with his speed and his first step, getting around tackles. The Titans need to invest in more young edge rushers. Panthers here, you know, Panthers, actually, I'll give him this pick. I've been going tight end this whole time. I've been just giving him tight end to try and improve that offense. I'm gonna change it up here. Darius Robinson, I've been seeing get mocked very, very highly, and I'm sure there's a reason for that. He showed up at the Senior Bowl, right? That's where he made a lot of noise, and so I do think he'll be a top 50 pick. And I think the Panthers, with the losing Brian Burns and really their whole defense, they need to do something with the defense, right? And Darius Robinson, I think, would be a very good pick there. The Commanders here, they could do some things, right? But I think this is where the Broncos trade back up, man. Trade back in to the second round to draft their guy, right? And now they have to give up a lot, right? You basically have to give up, because they have a third round pick. They have to give up a second round pick next year and a third rounder, unless they still give up, another fourth rounder, I guess, to make this move, right? Because, the Commanders could just stay pat, but there's no reason for them to move down necessarily. So let's do this. Commanders accept. And now the Broncos draft McCarthy at number 40. Honestly, I don't mind this. I have a mid to late second round grade on McCarthy, but pick number 40 for a team that needs a quarterback, I don't mind it. Do I think he can play year one? No. Who the hell is going to play next year for the Broncos? I'm not sure. But you gave him Brian Thomas already. Maybe put McCarthy in the second half of next season or something. I don't know. But, maybe then he just has some sort of chance. I don't know, man. Honestly, I struggle to find positive traits about JJ McCarthy, honestly. My Seahawks here at number 41 has to be linebacker. I know we went defensive line with the first. No, because then it has to be offensive line. Yeah, give me Zach Frazier. Give me Zach Frazier. We still need linebackers. Hopefully, we draft that in the third round. But yeah, Zach Frazier. We lost. We need. We. Sorry, I'm talking too fast. Seahawks have needs at center and guard. We also have needs on the defensive line and linebacker, right? So we have four spots to fill necessarily. We fill defensive line in the first round, Zach Frazier in the second round. Offensive line, we need to spend a pick on the offensive line somehow, right? So Zach Frazier, great option, right? Honestly, plug and play day one. I love that. I love that scenario for the Seahawks. Jared versus Zach Frazier. I love it. Texans here at 42 now. Is it linebacker? Is it defensive line? I don't think it's wide receiver, man. Honestly, Mikey Sainristil to the Texans makes a lot of sense. They got Jeff Okudah. They already got Derek Stingley, obviously. Give me Sainristil in the nickel to give them some edge, or just an edge, some nastiness. A guy that's not afraid to come up and make plays in the run game. I love that pick to the Texans, right? Kind of bring some mentality there to that secondary. I like that pick a lot. Falcons here at 43. They still need cornerback, honestly. They lost Okuda. They need a guy to step in, fill those shoes. Is it last year or TJ Tampa? I just like the idea of Georgia, Falcons, living in Georgia myself. I like the idea of that, right? Raiders at 44. You took your quarterback, right? So now with this pick, the possibilities are endless in a way. Hello? Okay, sorry. You knew the mic was dying. It had to die at some point. All right. Raiders, possibilities are endless. Where do you want to go? I feel like it has to be cornerback or offensive line here. What are your options here? Offensive line at this spot, I really don't love the options. TJ Tampa's still on the board, though. It gives you something, right? You lost Amik Robertson to the Lions. You know, try and replace that as best you can with TJ Tampa. You need your secondary to be better if you're the Raiders. So TJ Tampa gives you some sort of hope there. Saints here, I want to see a receiver here. I want to see a replacement for Michael Thomas. Who is that guy? Let's see. Keon Coleman, Jalen Polk, Malachi Corley. Those are the guys I'm thinking of here at this spot. Malachi Corley, I kind of I kind of like that. But Keon Coleman, yeah, give him a deep threat. You already got Olave. Give the Saints, give Derek Carr big body receiver. Yeah, I like that pick for the Saints. Colts here at 46. I think it's going to be nah, it can't be a defensive tackle. They've already drafted so many of those. I still honestly, I do not see why the Colts need a receiver. They have three receivers they already could use, in my opinion. But if they would take a receiver, who's the most athletically gifted guy here? I don't know. It'd be between Jalen Polk and Malachi Corley here for me. I think Jalen Polk, he extends the field, stretches the field, and he's bigger, a lot bigger than Josh Downs. I think he could play outside. Yeah, give him Jalen Polk. Jalen Polk, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs. That's what I'm thinking for the Colts. It's a good receiving core. Very good, very cheap. Giants here at 47. No chance to take quarterback. That ship has sailed. So what do you do? Already got your receiver. You got to spend at least one pick on the defense, right? Who is it though? Who is it? I don't think I've even been in this situation for the Giants. I don't even know who I'd give them in this situation. I feel like the offensive line still is just such a need for them. I'm gonna give him Christian Haynes, widely considered to be the best pure guard, one of the best pure guards in the class. So Giants, please work on improving that offensive line. I think Christian Haynes is a good pick there. Jaguars at 48. Already gave them their DB. Maybe give them their receiver here. Ricky Pearsall, keeping him in Florida. I like that idea. He really stepped it up. He didn't start there. I think he started like Arizona State or something. But since he got to Florida, he turned it around and he showed a lot more elements to his game. Bengals at 49. This is where I'm gonna give. This is such a good situation for the Bengals. Get Jatavion Sanders right there, just falls in your lap. Yeah, that's a great pick for the Bengals right there at 49. Eagles right here. You got a couple needs. Linebacker I could see, but they got Devin. I don't think they need linebacker. You got Devin White. You got Devin White. You got Nakobe Dean. I don't think they need linebacker. Let me look at this offensive line, right? Because you want a future replacement for Lane Johnson. I'm gonna give him Kingsley Suamataia. I like that. I like that a lot for the Eagles. Steelers at 51. This is a spot I could see receiver. Definitely a spot I could see for wide receiver. I could also see cornerback, but a lot of those guys are off the board already. We addressed the Steelers' offensive line. Looking at receiver, you got George Pickens outside. I think Malachi Corley would fit in very, very well in Pittsburgh. That tough mentality. He's a dog. Get the ball in his hands and watch magic happen. I like that. I like that for the Steelers a lot. Rams at 52 here. Is this linebacker? Gave him defensive line. I think this is linebacker. Give him Peyton Wilson. Give him Peyton Wilson out of North Carolina. Showcased his speed at the combine, but has a lot more elements to his game than just that. It's good in coverage. Runs around the field. Okay. Eagles at 53 here. I'm just giving receive. I really don't know what else to give the Eagles besides receiver. You can't give them defensive line. They have so much. Linebacker, I just N'Kobe Dean, Devin White. It's kind of set for me. Already addressed their secondary. Offense, don't need a running back. Offensive line, good. Has to be receiver. That's the only thing I could see here, unless they trade down or something. But for this pick, I'm gonna go where I've been going. Honestly, for the Eagles, Jalen McMillan in the slot. You got Devontae Smith and AJ Brown outside. It's such a perfect fit, man. The Browns at 54, give them a linebacker. They've kind of been shifting back and forth. When's the last time the Browns had a really good linebacker? Give them Edgerrin Cooper at Texas A&M, downhill, monster in the run game. I like that a lot for the Browns. Dolphins at 55. We address their offensive line. Has to be a defensive pick here. Keep the guy in state, Braden Fiske. You lose Christian Wilkins to the Raiders. Get a guy with a lot of physical upside and a lot of upside as a pass rusher, which is rare for a defensive tackle. Dolphins there flipping around and filling their needs quickly in this draft. Robert Hunt and Braden Fiske. Wait, no, sorry. Replacing Robert Hunt with Troy Fautanu, replacing Christian Wilkins with Braden Fiske. That's a good draft for the Dolphins, first 2 rounds. Cowboys at 56, we gave them their tackle. Man, the Cowboys need help everywhere. Honestly, I'll give them a receiver because they don't have much besides CD. Who's the guy, man? Honestly, at this pick, I really think it's kind of out of receivers, man. I don't think any of these guys are going to go in the first 2 rounds. So if that's the case, then you got to look to address center because you lost Tyler Biadasz to the Commanders. So take Cedric Van Pran. Do you just take Van Pran and Mims and try and just hope and pray that offensive line improves? I think it's a good, I'm kind of talking myself into it, Just commit to that offensive line. I think it's about as good as you can do if you're the Cowboys. You're kind of in a fuck scenario here. Buccaneers at 57. I already gave them a pick for their offensive line. I would really like to see an edge rusher here. The question is who, you know. Let's take a look. I see Adisa Isaac. I see Chris Braswell. You got guys like Braylon Trice. I think Adisa Isaac just has the most upside, Fast twitch, similar to Chop Robinson. You got to replace Shaq Barrett somehow. I like what guys like Yaya Diaby did last season. Just continue to improve, add more young players to that front seven if you're the Buccaneers. Packers here, this is a good situation because you got Javon Bullard. You traded up with my Seahawks to get your cornerback, and you still are able to sit there in the second round and take your guy at safety. So that's a very good situation for the Packers. If you walked away with Terrion Arnold and Javon Bullard, you should be very happy as a Packers fan. Texans at 59 here. Gave him cornerback, I believe. Gave him cornerback right there. So now I need to see how I can help them in the interior defensive line because they trade away some guys. Is it Ruka Koroko? Is it Chris Jenkins? I'm gonna give him Rook out of Clemson. Heard a lot of good things. Think he has more upside. Bills at 60. Gave him receiver. They have some holes on that defense. I'd like to see them draft an edge rusher too, honestly, but I also think they have some needs in the secondary. We'll see who's available right now in the secondary. I think they could really use a safety, And Kalen Bullock's sitting right there. But Jaden Hicks is also sitting here. I'm gonna give him Jaden Hicks. Washington State, draft stock on the up. Lions at 61. This is gonna be on offensive line, interior offensive line. They got from the Ravens, forgot his name, veteran, good veteran, but not a long-term solution. Give him Cooper Beebe out of Kansas State, one of the best guards in the class. Ravens at 62 here. They lost Jadeveon Clowney. It's an edge or it's a wide receiver. I'll give him Roman Wilson. I'll give him Roman Wilson here. You need more help, more weapons for Lamar. Niners here. I'll give him a cornerback. Who is the guy? Let me find out a little bit about Max Melton. First look here. Good size. Brother of Bo Melton. Yeah, fuck it. Give the Niners another option at corner. They need some help. Max Melton. The Chiefs, I like giving the Chiefs a running back, because I have not given a single running back here. Give them Blake Corum. Honestly, I said it before that only one running back will go in the first 2 rounds. And honestly, it's tough to find spots for him. That's going to be it, though, man. The final mock draft. Take a good look at it, man. Take a good look. I'm so happy, man. Been waiting for the draft for so long. It's finally here. It's over, man. No more mock drafts for a long fucking time. Oh, man. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. There's going to be 20 videos coming out the next couple weeks. And subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you very, very shortly. See you.
It's out the motherfucking pack. Right out. But niggas don't know how to act.